Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. A legend who still competes among the best in the world, sharing and impacting his aged skills in the ring along with his charm to cut beautiful promos and keep the fans entertained. However, this legend's journey to legendary status came with a lot of hurdles. Being broken and bruised mentally, Chris Jericho kept rising above his hurdles to become an enigma in this sport. But the real question is, what is the story of Chris Jericho? Join us as we uncover the never-before-told tales of Chris Jericho's rise to becoming a multi-time world champion. But be sure to stick to the end, where we reveal the golden moment he won his first WWE World Championship. Without further ado, let's begin. Chris Jericho, whose real name is Christopher Keith Irvine, was born on the 9th of November 1970 in Manhasset, New York. Many people believe Jericho was born in Canada, but that's far from the truth. His father, who was an ice hockey player, Ted Irvine, was playing for the New York Rangers at the time of Jericho's birth. When his father retired, the family moved back to Manitoba, Canada, where Jericho grew up, thereby making him both an American and Canadian citizen. When Jericho was still a child, he had two dreams: to either become a wrestler or play for a rock band. He had a strong passion for both, but wrestling took off first. Chris Jericho's interest in professional wrestling began when he started watching the local American Wrestling Association events that took place at the Winnipeg Arena, and his desire to become a professional wrestler himself began when he saw footage of Owen Hart performing various high-flying moves. His first experience with a professional wrestling promotion was when he acted as part of the ring crew for the first tour of the newly opened Keystone Wrestling Alliance promotion. It was at this promotion that he learned important pointers from independent wrestlers Catfish Charlie and Caveman Broder, two men who shaped the dynamics of his wrestling moves for years and years after. Jericho eventually went to college, attending Red River College in Winnipeg, where he graduated in 1990 with a diploma in creative communications. And right after college, he went back to both his passions, wrestling and music. He kept playing music while he attended the Hart Brothers School of Wrestling. 2 months after completing training, Jericho was ready to start wrestling on independent shows. He made his debut in Alberta, Canada, under the ring name Cowboy Chris Jericho on October 2nd, 1990. His initial ring name was Jack Action. However, when a member of the crew backstage of the promotion heard the name, he walked up to Jericho and told him the name Jack Action was very stupid. He then asked Jericho what his real name was, and in a nervous tone, he said Chris Jericho. Of course, that wasn't his real name, but that was the name that came up in the moment. He took the name Jericho from an album, Walls of Jericho, by German power metal band Halloween. That was the moment the name Chris Jericho became not just his in-ring name, but his brand as a whole. Between 1991 and 1994, Chris Jericho toured around the world as a professional wrestler. He wrestled in Japan for Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling, then went halfway across the world to Mexico before going back to the United States in 1994. All this time, Jericho was increasingly becoming a household name in the world of wrestling, but he wasn't really there yet. Many co-wrestlers at the time knew he had the skills and persona to sell out pay-per-views, but the big names in the industry like Paul Heyman and Vince McMahon didn't even have an idea who he was. But all of that changed in 1994 with the special help of his fellow wrestlers. After Mick Foley saw Chris Jericho's match against another veteran wrestler, Ultimo Dragon, he immediately sent a tape of the match to ECW promoter Paul Heyman. Heyman saw the tape and consulted Chris Benoit, Dave Meltzer and Perry Saturn, seeking their thoughts on signing Chris Jericho. They all gave good recommendations on Jericho, making Paul Heyman bring him on board in 1995. Jericho began wrestling for the ECW promotion and in less than a year won the ECW World Television Championship from Pitbull 2 in June 1996 at Hardcore Heaven. His ecstatic performance with the ECW drew the attention of the WCW. He then left ECW for the WCW in June 1996, where he dominated the Cruiserweight division alongside Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. Jericho was anywhere and everywhere he needed to be. He alternated between the WCW and a few Japanese tours where he wrestled with New Japan Pro Wrestling. But that wasn't all. Jericho's dream to be a rock star was still very much alive. Since he had gotten famous as a wrestler and had made bank from his match bookings, he decided to start his own rock band named Fozzy in 1999. Maybe it was his awesome music or the tales of his innate ability to cut promos, but one of those two definitely caught the eyes or ears of Vince McMahon, who brought Chris Jericho over to the WWE in the year 1999. The WWE made Chris Jericho's debut spectacular. In the weeks before Jericho's debut, a clock labelled "Countdown to the New Millennium" appeared on WWF programming. The clock finally ran out on the August the 9th episode of Raw in Chicago, Illinois, while The Rock was in the ring cutting a promo on the big show. Jericho entered the arena and proclaimed "Raw is Jericho," and that he had come to save the World Wrestling Federation, referring to himself as Y2J. The Y2J heel character was immediately loved by WWE fans. Jericho's first long-term feud was with Chyna for the WWF Intercontinental Championship. After losing to Chyna at Survivor Series, Jericho defeated her to win his first WWF Intercontinental Championship at Armageddon, but later lost it to Kurt Angle. Less than a year later, he had his first WrestleMania moment at WrestleMania 2000, where he faced Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit for both the European Championship and the WWF Intercontinental Championship. This particular match is still regarded as one of Jericho's best. Chris Jericho won the European Championship by pinning Benoit, who in turn pinned him back to win the WWF Intercontinental Championship. It was a sensational match and one that will be remembered for ages. But after a few storylines that involved Jericho, Triple H, Benoit and the Intercontinental Championship, the WWE finally pushed Jericho for world title contention. Before we talk about that, let's do something fun for you watching this video. We have a special shout-out contest for our subscribers. So, if you want to get a personal shout-out from us in one of our videos, go comment EPIC in the comment section below and stand a chance to win the contest. It's pretty easy, so go comment EPIC now. After a few months, Jericho became a major force in the Invasion storyline, in which WCW and ECW joined forces to overtake the WWF. Jericho remained on the side of the WWF despite previously competing in WCW and ECW. However, Jericho began showing jealousy toward fellow WWF member The Rock. The jealousy ended up in a match between The Rock and Jericho for the WCW Championship, which Jericho won. The Rock later won the title from him on the November the 5th episode of Raw. This made their feud more deadly, as Jericho turned heel and was ready to stop at nothing until he could win the title back. The WCW Championship was then rebranded as the World Championship, while Stone Cold Steve Austin was the WWF Champion. Jericho was initially after the World Championship, but why have one world title when you can have two? Well, here's Jericho's answer to that. On the 9th of December 2001 at Vengeance, Chris Jericho made history. After Stone Cold Steve Austin defended his WWF Championship against Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho faced The Rock for his World Championship. Jericho and The Rock went to war. The two exchanged many holds and reversals in the beginning, putting the audience on suspense. After a constant change in momentum, Jericho attempted the walls of Jericho, but The Rock countered it into a roll-up for a near fall. The Rock then hit a rock bottom as Mr. McMahon came down to ringside. Not caring about his presence, The Rock went for the pinfall, but McMahon distracted the referee. That move from McMahon made The Rock very mad. He attacked McMahon, and while the referee checked on McMahon, Jericho hit a low blow and a rock bottom to win the match and the title. Immediately after, Steve Austin came back out to wrestle the final match for the Undisputed Championship. Mr. McMahon came out and ordered Nick Patrick to referee the match. However, Ric Flair interfered and pulled Patrick out of the ring to attack him. McMahon then knocked Flair into the ring post, but in the middle of the chaos, Austin hit a low blow and assaulted McMahon. Out of nowhere, Booker T came out and hit Austin with the WWF Championship belt from behind, knocking him out. The referee recovered and Jericho capitalized on the interference, pinning Austin to win the match. It was a chaotic affair, but in the end, Chris Jericho became the first ever undisputed WWF champion. Since then, however, Jericho has built for himself a legacy in the industry that only few can match, competing across 4 different decades, amassing a resume of championships unmatched by any modern performer, and finding success in every major promotion of the last 30 years. He has done quite literally everything there is to do in sports entertainment. Make sure you check out this other video showing on your screen. Bye for now!